Hey everyone, Tim here from Snap Attack. Let's dig into this week's Threat Snapshot. So we're going to focus on two Windows vulnerabilities that have been actively exploited by attackers. First one is going to be a couple of vulnerabilities together around SmartScreen and a way to bypass that security control. And so this threat has been used by one actor in particular, known by a couple aliases, DarkMe, which is typically known as their malware, but the actor is known as Dark Casino or Water Hydra. They've targeted a lot of financial institutions and are a financially motivated actor. But we can see here that they have some, capabilities to, weaponize these attacks, oftentimes finding the vulnerabilities themselves and using them, to exploit for their own financial gain. So if you want a high-level overview, Hacker News here has a good summary. Trend Micro has a very good deep dive on Water Hydra, the APT group themselves, a lot of their TTPs, and how this specific vulnerability or series of vulnerabilities works. So we're going to cover two of these here today. One is the new one that we've seen recently. The other came out last year. It's in the similar class, and these are attacking basically the Windows search application protocol. So we talked a little bit recently about moniker link and some of the different ways that there's ability to pass information to other programs and protocols. So, this URL, this search protocol is telling Windows to use their built-in search, again, to find something, make it easy for a user. So you can see what this would look like normally, how it could be embedded in HTML. And where they're using this for these two CVEs, it's 2024-21412 and 2023-36025. They're using these cleverly in internet shortcuts. So you can see here how these, again, similar how they work together, but we're able to use this to download a file like a URL, or we can even just link to, particularly a piece of malware directly. Like a VB script. And this is important because it bypasses Defender SmartScreen, which is a built-in security layer. Typically what happens is if you are downloading a file from the internet, there's this thing called the mark of the web on there. And that allows Windows to track and say, this file was downloaded, help stop phishing and a lot of other techniques. However, there are certain ways that you can bypass it, like these two here. So let's actually take a look what these bypasses look like. So we've got two of them in the platform. We'll look at, the first one here, where we've got this URL. We have that test VBS, so we can download that. And actually, here's the CVE URL that we're going to download. And you're going to see that URL shortcut. We'll open that up, and behind the scenes it's going to be spawning some stuff. You'll see those in the background. Actually, you can see a couple pop up in the foreground too. We'll see that on the process graph. Again, good news is this is very detectable. So you can see here when I click that link, that URL is actually opening the VB script file in the background, and then we're launching various things like who am I, running a dir list, things of that nature. Obviously, an attacker can, do something more malicious, spawn their own C2, do other things. I'm going to see a very similar pattern here for 2024, this variant. Again, we've got like an embedded URL where it's saying, hey, there's a photo here. I want to open that up. This is going to open up that URL. You're going to see that looks like a file here. It's a shortcut. When I double click that, we're going to see here that this is going to actually launch a VB script code in the background and pop a calculator. So again, you can see how this could be weaponized. Again, this is highly detectable too. Very similar pattern where, again, we're going to have Explorer. You're going to have that URL you're going to click on. It's going to open up that VB script, and you can see here we, instead chose to pop a calc. So good news is these are, again, kind of tried, true, detectable. There have been other, SmartScreen bypasses before, and there are some evergreen detections that you can use here. So detection here for the first one, this is going to be looking at the URL shortcut itself. So you can see here in the file contents, If we have that URL and that ID list piece here, this is, particularly to that first one for the SmartScreen bypass. So this is a good opportunity that you can use for, a detection. Suspicious URL file. Again, we can see here anytime that a URL is downloaded, and particularly look to see, what directories, those are going to be in. If it's in the user's download file, typically users aren't downloading, URLs bookmarks, so we can look at the file creation event for those. Could be a good hunt query. These also are relating to WebDAV as a particular way to, reach out and grab that additional second stage. So if you have network data, you can look for the HTTP client headers. So the Microsoft WebDAV service is going to be what's going to reach out to that. So you can see that here. Again, depending on how much you use WebDAV internally to your network, this can probably be a high confidence detection as is. If not, may need a little bit of tuning, but typically there's not a lot of internal WebDAV traffic, so that can be a good opportunity. Similar here, Sigma community rule, looking for WebDAV services, and then particularly what follows on here. So there is an opportunity for that. WebDAV user agents, we talked a little bit about that previously. And then again, suspicious WebDAV client execution from, a Windows 32, from like RunDLL 32. So lots of different ways that you can detect this from, again, the download URL itself, from, WebDAV where it's, spawning. So some good detection opportunities here. The other bug that we wanted to talk about was in the Microsoft streaming service. So streaming service is built into Windows. It's been around for a while. That's how you can, stream video, audio, other, media files. And this is kind of it's an interesting bug because it's a little bit of a mix between a living off the land and a bring your own vulnerable driver, because we're exploiting a vulnerable driver, the Microsoft streaming services, that mkssrv.sys, that's built in natively to Windows. So we don't have to bring our own vulnerable driver because it's already there. So in a sense, it's kind of like a living off the land version. So maybe this is the first living off the land vulnerable driver. Maybe we need a new website and a new project for these if there's going to be multiple of them. But it's interesting because of that piece where it's already there. It doesn't have to bring anything else to the attacker doesn't have to bring anything. They can just use that. Has been used by threat actors. Raspberry Robin has started using this. It's part of the CISA Known Exploited Vulnerability catalog. So there is some pieces to that. If you wanted to know a little bit about how it works, I would recommend reading this blog. So this vulnerability was found at Pwn2Own and then later, weaponized by actors. So if you want the technical deep dive of, how it works, you can definitely read this, check this out. We're going to take a look and see what this privilege escalation vulnerability looks like in SnapAttack. And the POC here, which we have linked, it's going to be a little bit different than other ways that you can do it. So we are going to, you'll see it's going to actually inject that into WinLogon. So, we can see where we're at, and then we're going to run that privilege escalation. We're going to see that we're running as system. And, we can see from the process graph here where, I have that CMD, I ran who am I am as a medium context. And then when we ran that CVE, it's going to inject that into WinLogon. And now we are, system here, and that was our who am I. So very clearly, this is a privilege escalation vulnerability going on here. Doesn't necessarily have to target WinLogon. Again, we're targeting WinLogon because that is going to be a privileged process. If there was another system level privileged process that you wanted to target, you could certainly do that. So consider that when you are looking at your detection strategies. Some different ways that we can detect this. Sigma community rule here, again, nice evergreen detection around, elevated system shells being spawned. So should be relatively rare that you're going to see these shells being spawned as system. So this would be a good opportunity for, detections. Looking for injection into WinLogon process. Again, like I said, this is unique to this POC, but we can see if there is some sort of injection going on. So you can see that CMD was being spawned from WinLogon in the context of, again, that system user. So that is, a good opportunity to detect this exploit and could, do others that follow a similar path, because again, we're looking at the specific behavior of this attack. If you have, some other, detection levels, so this is looking at a Win32 API call with open process. So, process access logs, you can see some of this target. A little bit noisy on its own, but with some tuning, you could, make this a little bit more targeted. So there's an opportunity for that log source. Looking for the driver exploitation itself. So we could look to see any time that MKS service driver is being loaded. And particularly, we could see what process is loading that and where that driver is being loaded. So that could be an interesting, hunt query or something that we could detect on. Again, like we said, this is a, bring your own vulnerable driver sort of thing. So your lull drivers, as this is added to that collection, would also cover that as well. So that is our threat snapshot for this week. It is a weekly series, so be sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.